Everybody, welcome back to 1776 or Bust. As you can see in the background, this is what I like to call my safe room, which is actually a code word for my wife's shoe closet. So that's where I'm relegated to do my videos, a shoe closet. Awesome. Anyway, the reason why I'm making this video is because I want to kind of share with you some thoughts about triggers. I know that one of the videos that I always show are the PPQs because I just love the guns. I think they're awesome guns. Triggers are great. For example, by the way, they're all safety checked. You pull that trigger and you basically have very light, and then all of a sudden right there is where that wall is, and then just a little bit of more pressure and that trigger breaks. So it's super light. The reset also is right there. And I can't say enough about this trigger. Now, one of the guns that I own that has come close to it, but still can't match it, is the SIG 320. So again, here's the 320 trigger. Let me see if I can get that in the camera a little bit more. So that's it. There's no take up, really barely any take up, and then a little pressure, and you've got a very, very crisp reset as well. So it's like right there. And again, very little pressure, a great trigger. I think this is better than the VP9 trigger, but it is still not better than the PPQ trigger. Now, looking at some of the other firearms that I own, one of the things I could always show you this one, but this one I'm going to take and put aside because everything I have is striker fired with the exception of this one. So unfortunately, Mr. CZ, you're going to go away. The only thing I would show you is that single action trigger right here, and you can see you have a pretty long take up, but really the wall is very, very, it's very negligible, I guess you could say. As soon as you hit a certain part, you can feel it with a little more drag, and then all of a sudden, just some slight pressure on that finger, and it breaks very well. But again, it's only getting about 200 rounds through it, so hopefully by about 1,000 rounds, it'll break in even more. Love the gun, by the way. P07, great gun. Now, the other guns that I'm going to show you are three other pistols that are widely owned by many people. One of them is going to be the Smith & Wesson M&P. Okay, love this gun also. Boy, what a surprise. But this is my second one. The first one absolutely was a dog. The trigger pull was not that good. The trigger was really junky. Had a lot of movement in it, but didn't have a lot of action, which was kind of odd. So you never really knew when it was going to, break, and you didn't know where it was going to reset. So I wound up selling that, but then I got a new one, and this one is like totally different. To me, this is a great trigger for an M&P. Now, some people might say, well, it's still an M&P, and you're right, it is, but is it as bad as it used to be? Is this a worthy pistol to own in self-defense or home defense or something like that, or even as a duty pistol? Yes, absolutely. Now, just to show you the trigger, I mean, right here, you got a little movement, a little take-up, and then that's the trigger. That's the wall right there. And you just give it a little more pressure, and next thing you know it, click. Now, I will tell you, there's a little more resistance in this trigger than, let's say, in the 320 or the PPQ, but it isn't that much. Now, the reset, if you look at the reset, that's it, man. That's the reset. So it's very quick, very, very short reset, and then again, you pull the trigger and it goes bang again. I mean, honestly, guys, if you are second guessing whether or not you should get a newer generation of M&P, I'm going to tell you, you should not second guess that. This pistol and that trigger, great job at Smith & Wesson. Much better than the old one that I had. Now, I know some people might say, what the hell does that really mean? The trigger this, trigger that. Maybe I just suck as a shooter. And yeah, maybe you're right, I do. However, I'd like to believe I don't. And so as a result, I would tell you that this is a much, much more improved version of the M&P than I had before. And whether or not that's true, maybe it's psychological, I don't know. But I shoot a lot better with this than I did the old one. Now, of course, another widely popular pistol is the Springfield line, the XD line. This is a Mod 2 in the subcompact. Again, when you look at the trigger, again, it's a little bit mushier than the others that I showed you. So you have a longer take-up on it. But again, it's a very defined wall. Very defined. You can feel it. As soon as you get that resistance on there, it takes just a very slight... Oh my God, what did I just do? There it is. Hold on. Let me do that again. So again, all the guys who were saying there, I know what it was this. You're right, it was. I wasn't pulling it correctly. And I'm trying to angle it in the camera, so that's my bad. But you can see that with the trigger, it's a little bit mushier. There's a little bit more longer travel. But then when you hit that wall, it isn't much more pressure on that fingertip than it releases it. And the reset, again, it's a little bit longer than the others. And that's it right there. and it's just a slight take up when you hit that wall again, and just a little pressure for the brake. So again, not a bad trigger. I would say that this gun, probably out of all the guns I own, this is probably the worst trigger I actually have. Now, that being said, the final one, the Glock 19, everybody's favorite for the most part. Now, of course, you know, you look at the Glock 19, a lot of people complain that the trigger is heavy. You know, it's not exactly that great. Some have said it's squishy as well. I have not seen that in any of the Gen 4s that I've owned, and I had a 26, 17, and a 19, and now I have another 19 right here. And I'm telling you, this one I think has the best trigger that I've ever had on any of them. So just to kind of let you see what the trigger looks like, you can see right here, that's it. That's the movement. That's the amount of pressure. You know, interestingly enough, when I pull that trigger back, I can actually feel something clicking inside the frame itself. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Maybe somebody can let me know. Because again, I'm not an expert at this by any chance, or by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I don't know if that's kind of the sear or what that is. But I definitely feel it. And when I feel that, that's the wall right there. Now, all it takes is a little bit more pressure, and it breaks. Again, the reset on this Glock is right there. I mean, that's crazy short. And then it breaks again. I would tell you that out of all the triggers I have, number one has got to be the PPQ, just for the lightness, just for the actuation of the trigger. I mean, it's right there. It's got a little bit of a longer take up than, let's say, the 320, but the trigger is so light. It's just, you know, to me, let me do that again. To me, that just is the winner right there. And you can see the reset, another light trigger pull. Of all the ones, like I said before, I really think that the XD probably has the spongiest trigger. This is something that I probably will be upgrading at some point, whenever I can. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much, to be honest with you, because I don't really care. I look at it from the standpoint of, as long as I pull that trigger and it goes bang, that's all that's going to matter. Because in the self-defense situation, I'm not, like I said before in some of my other videos, I'm not going to be sitting there going, well, that's about a 7-pound pull. Where's the reset? Where's the reset? Because I'm probably going to be slapping the trigger as fast and as hard as I can because of that adrenaline rush. But, you know, overall, spongiest. I would say the M&P and the Glock 19 probably have the most pressure that needs to be added on. But I think they're very nice, very short, crisp resets, and just good-looking triggers. And, of course, the last two, the 320 and the PPQ. Love them both triggers. Number one, number two, better than the VP9. And if you don't agree with me, that's okay. So I hope that kind of explains a little bit about their trigger pulls and whether or not you think they're good or not. Again, share your opinions. Tell me what you think. I mean, if you own any of the firearms that I've shown you tonight, tell me what you think about their triggers, their resets, the you know, just the accuracy that comes out of them because of these triggers, and whether or not it really matters. So I hope you guys are having a great night. I hope you're being safe out there. And as always, freedom is never free. And don't forget to vote.